All right, welcome back to another episode of Two Guys Talking Sports. Baseball season is almost here. We are lucky enough to be joined by Latta Vikings head baseball coach Robbie Brown. I feel like everybody that I've talked to, it's like it's all Dillon players, man. It's nice to kind of reminisce. You know, we played ball together. You obviously played more than me. Spoke with Coach Selmer at Lancaster, but Coach Brown, thank you for being here with us today.
I appreciate you having me, and I also appreciate you guys supporting local athletic programs and what you do. I know it's a lot of work and it doesn't go unnoticed, and we appreciate you over at Latta. So,
All right, yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Yeah, it's also to mention you're the athletic director at Latta. So that's kind of like the first question I want to get into before we talk baseball. What's it like kind of having double duties as an administrator in high school sports, being an athletic director, then also, dedicating time as a head baseball coach as well?
It starts with the support. I got great support from our entire school staff. My principal's wonderful. My superintendent's phenomenal. So it starts with the support, and they know, baseball season rolls around. I get a tremendous amount of help. I got an assistant AD. She does a great job. And it goes back to my coaching staff, and I know we'll probably get into that, but they do a great job pulling weight when I might have to go to a basketball game and leave practice early, or but it starts with those folks, and they do a great job by helping and assisting in any capacity I need.
Yeah.
So it's a good setup.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's important that you have like a good support system, whether it be on your staff or in the school. So yeah, I know that's always good. So kind of going into last year, I did finish the season 26-6, lost in lower state round. Saw where you lost to East Clarendon. Kind of talk us through what last season going out the way you did, losing the players you did. Kind of talk about how last season was for you.
We graduated 7 guys, and there were 7 really, really good kids beyond the baseball field. And we were strong. We were a good ball club, and we came to practice and worked hard every day. And I tell people all the time, we played our 2 worst games of the year, the last 2 games of the year. And we split with Lakeview, who Coach Herlong does a wonderful job, and the goal is to win the day. And we conquered more days than we got defeated, and that was the goal. And we go play East Clarendon on a Saturday at 1, and it's smoking hot, and the giddy up was there, and gas starts to run low and run out, and my kids fought. They fought to the end, and you are gonna finish how it's supposed to be. I'm a believer in that. And were we good enough to play for it all? I think so. I just think that the ball didn't roll our way sometimes, and that's the game of baseball, and that's the game of sports.
Yeah, and one thing I got into with Coach Coward with his interview, especially like in high school sports, compared to collegiate sports, you don't have like a full dedicated pitching staff where you have 3 or 4 set starters. You've got 6, 7, 8, 9 arms for relief pitching. So depending how your path goes in the playoffs, you can burn through pitching really quick. Players get burned, get burned out. I think I remember it's our junior year when I feel like we traveled throughout the entire state. I know we played Wade Hampton, then we're in Barnwell.
Yeah.
I mean these are like 4-hour drives, and it's especially if you have to win 2 games. Yeah, I mean
We played in Barnwell, rain delay, 2-hour rain delay, and I think I pitched that game. We won 2-1.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Playoffs are brutal. And that is true. You got our starting shortstop last year was our guy on the bump, and you got to try to outsmart the opponent, and you got to throw guys when you think you need to, and it's a mind game, and it's tough because if one bad outing in the playoffs, it can shoot your whole staff down. So it is tough.
Yeah, because it changes the if you maybe not throw your ace game 1 and you think you're going to win, then you lose. It kind of changes your whole perception of the play. Do you have a lot of players that play multiple sports?
Yes, we do. I'm waiting on some basketball guys now, and I have some football guys, and I tell you, I think that's one of the best things for a kid. I believe in that, and just because there's things that I might not can accomplish with you. You know, guys that
Yeah.
don't play football, we're in the weight room in the off season,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell them you're either going to get it through football or you're going to get it through me. You know, the work's not
Yeah.
going to stop. And
Yeah.
and again, it's support cast of all of our coaches that
Mm-hmm.
will work with us, and our football coach is great, our basketball coaches are great. So
Yeah.
it's not like they don't miss anything if they're not around, right?
Yeah.
I meet with guys that are projected baseball players that are going to come do a tryout, and I talk to them about the things that we're doing, and so they can have a mental. And our basketball coach is phenomenal about it. Same
Yeah.
thing with football. But I have many multi-sport athletes,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for it because they're diverse.
Does that affect the way you kind of approach the off season with workouts, or are your players who maybe aren't multiple sport athletes that maybe just focus on baseball? Are they playing travel ball in the fall maybe, or is there, because I know like when I was interviewing Coach Selmer, they have like a fall ball thing they have, I think, up around Winthrop. Is there something like that around here?
Yeah, they do. Coach Selmer and his guys, they do the Diamond Prospects fall ball, and it's great. And it's not. We have one in our area, and I do have a few kids that participate in that. And I want to say it's 10 to 14 games. I do have kids that play in that. It's just so hard at our place to host something like that because I have numbers for B team, JV, and varsity, but we don't have the space, and so you got to kind of maneuver with that. But as far as the off season goes, those guys want to be a part of our program, and they want to work hard for our program. So no one misses workouts.
Yeah.
No one says, "Coach, I got a game on Friday." There's been many times where they played in the fall ball in Horry County, and they've worked out and they've left and they've gone to their fall ball game. So our guys are truly dedicated to the game of baseball, and not just our school, but they love baseball, so they make it work however they see fit.
Good, yeah, because I know over the past like maybe decade, Latta's got some good traditions dating back to the coach that was there prior to you. Kind of talk about when you got to Latta. Like I said, this is your third season. Kind of talk about how you manage expectations when you take over for somebody. You did go to Dillon, so I guess you could say it's a rival. But talk about how you were kind of received from the Latta community, and talk about how much that place means to you.
Well, Coach Cribb is a legend in our state, and he's won a whole lot of games, and he's won a bunch of state championships. So coming in, I knew it was going to be a challenge for me, just because of, well, what's the expectation of a new guy? And I'd like to think I'm old school. As we know, I played at Dillon, and we played for an older coach who believed there was one way to do it, and it was the right way.
Yeah.
So I have those same tendencies. I'm hopeful I have those same tendencies as Coach Cribb or any other veteran coach. So it was difficult early because of maybe the change, and people don't like change.
Yeah.
But I will say that there's a lot of support in that community, and there's been a lot of support, and just like anybody else, if you don't win, they want to know why not, right? And that's common, that's human. So, but there has been a tremendous amount of support, and I couldn't do the job I do without the support. We got a booster club. I have parents that rally together and feed our kids, JV and varsity, every game, and I don't set any of those things up. That's just support of our program, and we always do a fundraiser, and we always make a lot of money off of it because people love Latta baseball, and they're going to support that. So it's been great, and of course it's always bumpy to begin with because I may do things differently with the same goal in mind, and it's an adjustment period.
Yeah.
Not a struggle. It's just an adjustment period. But I think that there was some rally behind me. The first year we were 17-10, and we were 2A my first year, and then last year, of course, we were 26-6.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where you can tell there's growth and there's support because you don't win games without support.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people realize like the behind the scenes stuff that people may not get seen, like you're talking about the parents that are helping.
Yeah.
Like I know when we played, a lot of our parents help, with food and stuff during the playoffs. So yeah, it's always good to, those people get the recognition that they deserve. Okay, kind of jumping into, this coming season, I did see a ranking where y'all are pre-ranked number 8. I know preseason rankings don't always mean anything. We were kind of talking off air. Got scrimmage in Hartsville this week. Kind of talk about, how you're approaching this season, maybe in terms of expectations or what you're seeing from your team, since practice has started this semester.
Yeah, I just, the expectation is to get better every pitch, every at bat, and every inning, and my pitchers, make the adjustments every pitch, every bat, and every inning, and the expectation is to go out and execute the things we're supposed to, and do the little things right, and that win column it carries its own weight, it does its own thing. So, going into the year, the plan is to be gritty. The plan is to be tough. The plan is to go in battle, tested every day, whether it's at practice, whether it's competing against each other in live ABs. It's just to be battle tested and love each other through it all. And it works. It'll work itself out. We are going to Hartsville, and they're a big ball club, and they're probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
But like I said off air, it's one of those things where Saturday night when it's over, I'm going to know where we need to go, and whether it's good or bad, what direction we got to go in, and I look forward to those nights.
Yeah,
so.
and it's like you're ready. Like, I know the players are ready for this season to get started because you can only simulate so much during practice. Eventually you just got to jump in, get your feet wet. You learn really quick what kind of team you have pretty quickly. So yeah, I know you're excited. I'm excited for baseball to start. This outside of football, this is my favorite time of year. Nothing beats it, man. Getting into your assistant coaches, you have 4, which is it's a lot. Now, are some of those volunteers? Are they all employees? And we'll get into them name by name.
We have 2 volunteers, and the other 2 are employed by our school.
Okay, yeah. So we'll start out with Jeff Huggins. Kind of talk to us about what his role is, how long he's been with the program, how he helps with the team.
Yeah, Coach Huggins, this is his first year with us. He's a community guy. He's coached rec sports as long as I've known him. He's a huge supporter of what we do, and he's super hands-on. He helps with our JV program, and he'll help with our varsity as needed as well. And he's just this week, he's probably thrown 1,000 baseballs for batting practice, and that takes a lot on you. And he'll stop and coach kids and try to make sure we're doing the little things right. And he's been phenomenal since we've started, and I'm very, very grateful for a guy who outside looking in understands what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish, and he fits that mold. He wants what we want, and I'm appreciative of it, and he's been great.
Did he play at Latta?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's always good when not saying that it's not a bad thing, but you've got people that are part of your staff that was part of that program that knows, and maybe not bleed, but they're very passionate about that school and the program. We'll jump to Pierce Watson. Pierce
Watson is a.
Does he coach football? I feel like that name sounds familiar.
Yes, he's on our football staff. This is year 2 for him on our staff. He played at Latta. He was a state champion in 2018. He went to play at Florence Darlington and then went to USC Lancaster. And he wanted to get back into coaching when he got home. And I talked to him and we had a conversation. And he coaches our Sandlapper Summer League team as well. He's a jack of all trades. He helps with JV during their time frame, and then of course varsity comes in a little bit later, and then he stays through the whole duration of it. He's a guy that is young, but he's going to be a phenomenal head coach one day. Yeah. He bleeds green and gold. He loves Latta. He loves competing, and nothing is left undone. He believes in doing it the right way. He believes in from getting a lead, from your approach in outfield with a fly ball. He played outfield for Latta, but he's been phenomenal, and he is probably one of the best hires I've ever had in my 10, 11 years in high school sports. Yeah. He's been phenomenal, and I can't wait to see where he goes just because his knowledge is I wish I was that smart at his age. I really do. So I'm very, very grateful for him. He's my right-hand man. We're always together. We're always talking ball. So it's been great with him.
Good. And then next we'll go Aaron Miles.
Aaron Miles, this is his second year. He's our head JV coach. Of course, he'll come up and help with varsity when his season's over. I asked him last year before baseball started, our other JV head coach, he stepped down and he works at our school and he did a great job. Dr. Brown, he did a great job and he wanted to get out of it because his son's in the varsity program with us. And he had a daughter that was a senior last year, so he kind of wanted to watch his daughter play softball and see his son play. So he did a great job for us as well. But Coach Miles he's an Ainer grad, and I don't hold that against him. I love him to death. But he married into Latta. His wife's from Latta. His father-in-law used to be in administration at Latta, so he's a Latta guy now, and he wants to soak it all in. Whatever we do at the varsity level, he is 100% in at the JV level, even if it's far-fetched, right? There's things that we do that 7th and 8th graders kind of are going to struggle with, and we're going to do it because in 2-3 years you're going to have to do it anyway. But he's been great, and he is hands-on, and he is tough, and he says what he means, and he means what he says, and he's been wonderful. And again, he's another one of those guys that I hope, as long as I'm coaching, he wants to stay with us. So. He's wonderful.
Good. And then Osmer, which I think he was on the previous staff as well, right?
Yeah, he's probably been coaching at Latta for 35, 40 years. I don't know. He's been there a while.
He was born and started coaching.
Yeah, he of course he played at Latta, and then he went to Florence Darlington, played for Coach McDonald, and during Coach McDonald's first year, I think it was, and when I got the job in Latta, he was one of the first persons I talked to, and we were game planning, and I'm going to tell you, I'm grateful for that man because I knew change was going to be difficult for me and for that community. He called me one of the first days. He said, "All right, Coach, what's the plan?" And he's been that way ever since. And he owns, he runs and a business in town, and so he comes after work and he doesn't miss. He doesn't show up late. He shows up when he can, on time when he's there, and everything is structure. He does a great job, and the kids like to joke on him, especially Coach Watson, who played for him. He's gotten softer in his older age, but he is very, very good, and he's super knowledgeable, and he gives us a sense of urgency just through conversation. Just me and you were talking. He talks to the kids the same way. There's no screaming out there. It's we're talking. And I want you to understand what we're doing, and that's who he is, and he doesn't let a kid leave until they understand or figure it out. And he's been wonderful, and he's been so wonderful to me and my entire family, and I'm grateful for him.
And I want to talk about you. Talk about your coaching philosophy. Obviously, we played under Coach Dozier at Dillon. You played at Erskine. You're at Lee Central prior to Latta. Kind of talk about maybe your coaching philosophy. Do you have any coaches that have maybe influenced you that maybe you didn't foresee yourself ever becoming a coach, or did you always want to coach?
I didn't want to coach early. I went into Erskine and got my degree in sports medicine. I didn't want to coach early. And then the more I started looking, and when I graduated college, I kind of started noticing that man, maybe this is what I want to do. Coach Amadon was my pitching coach at college. And he's been a great influence on me. And I'm going to be honest, me being an old soul, guys like Coach Dozier and guys like Kip Hurlong and guys like Don Cribb, man, those guys, I've watched those guys as a player. And then when I got to college and I would go watch, I watched Dillon. Might have been the last time they played for the state championship, beat Bishop England. I think Joseph Scott was on the team.
We're not going to talk about him. He got enough credit in the Dillon.
Everybody loves Joseph. but I get an opportunity to watch those guys, and I have to wear my own shoes. My feet when not fitting in other guys' shoes, but they're largely a huge part of the reason why I got into coaching. I think watching them and their demeanor and how kids respond to them is phenomenal to watch. And I won't sit here and deny it. You know, I love competing and we love playing against anybody. But when I get to play a old seasoned coach, a veteran coach, it gets me going because I'm going to learn something new.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it to my program. We're going to be better for it. So, you know, just Coach Dozier, obviously, and there's a bunch of guys that I've had the opportunity to play under. Coach Nichols, who was a completely different coach than what I am. You know, Coach Nichols at Erskine, he was a hitting guy, and pitchers were terrible. Right.
Yeah.
Who can't throw a strike? That was his philosophy. So, and he impacted me in some ways too, but just getting to watch seasoned veteran coaches and that's been wonderful for me. And I take other sports too. Like I love football and I love basketball. So, you know, Coach Hayes' legacy, Coach Eisman, our head football coach, man.
I love Coach Eisman. He's a good guy.
Man, he is phenomenal. And so I get to watch other coaches and their drive and their efforts make me pursue to be half of who they are, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
Philosophy, my philosophy is very, very simple because baseball is a game of failure. How do you respond to failure?
Yeah.
That's the philosophy. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So my philosophy is I want you to fail. Practice is set up for you to fail. Because I need to know how you're going to respond in that moment, in that time, and even the next day. Is it going to still bother you the next day? Because, again, baseball is very similar to life. You know, there's going to be things in life that you're going to fail out.
Yeah.
But what's your response? And that's my philosophy. My philosophy is you come every day, you work hard, you fail, you pick it up and you figure it out. And you move forward, and that's water under the bridge.
Yeah.
So I believe in failure. I believe in getting better through failure.
Yeah. You know, going back to when we played together, you don't, when Dozier and Johnson would have all those talks with us after practice, I don't think you realize in the moment what they're saying, but you can always, like, you know, as we're older, as like we are now, it's nice to look back and kind of retrospect and see what they were talking about, because, you know, it's making an influence on you whether you realize it or not.
Well, and that's another one, Chris Johnson. I don't have coins and dollars in my pockets.
He had the goat size, the candies.
Yeah, I don't have coins and dollars in my pockets and run after practice like he did. But, you know, crazy, kind of off topic, but funny story. I remember Coach Dozier telling me, man, you got to learn to pitch if you're going to play for me. And of course, I know now that was motivation to work hard. And I go to Coach Johnson. I said, Coach Johnson, I want to learn how to pitch because I never pitched before. I was 7th grade. I don't know how to pitch. And Coach Johnson goes, you're not going to like it, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I towel drilled till my back hurt, and I got a scholarship, right? So Coach Johnson's another one. I'm glad you mentioned it because he's another one. And I'm going to say this one, and I don't know if he was there when you were there, but Coach Johnny Dew Sr. in B-team baseball, listen, I will tell you, I don't think I learned more about life and baseball at the same time than I played for Johnny B. Sr.
Yeah.
And then I had the honor to play for Little Dew when I got in high school, and those guys were tough. We played with tough coaches, but what I've learned from it all was, and I try to tell my guys this, you're not going to like me in this moment in time.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful that one day you appreciate the values that maybe our staff has instilled in you, and your love's going to grow stronger. You know, I talked to Coach Dew. His grandson is at our school, and I see him all the time at basketball games and stuff. And I talk to him often, and I'm telling you, I can't thank him enough. And Little Dew, I don't thank them enough. But those guys, man, we were surrounded by an immense amount of loving, hard coaches.
Yeah, I never played for Senior because I wasn't at JV Martin. I was at the Christian school, then started at Dillon High School. So
you dodged the bullet.
So when I was in JV, it was Coach Cook and then Coley or Coach Bahasic. I remember you weren't. I don't think you were in high school yet, or you may have been a senior or freshman. But you know, what year did you graduate?
2010.
Okay,
you
so
got me about 2.
Yeah, so I think it was a sophomore year, and I'm not gonna lie, I was petrified of Coach Johnson as a playing, you know, on JV and varsity, and he would always hit when he would do BP. Man, he would scald the ball.
Yeah.
And I remember Coach Bassett got so mad. I can't remember what it was, but like he walked off, and then Johnson came out there. He scared the daylights out of me.
That's how the dude men are too, man. I tell this story. I was young, 7th grade, and my mom picked me up from practice, and I gave Mama my bag. But I didn't Mama's bag, and I paid for it. I ran. And I learned it, and my mama never touched my bag again. But, when I say you dodged a bullet, you dodged tough coaching.
Yeah.
But everybody needs it, and it was one of the best experiences of my life playing for him.
Yeah. Is that something you've kind of, as you've gotten older and more experienced in your coaching role, do you approach differently certain players, or do you have a good read on how like this person may receive criticism or this person maybe a little bit differently?
Yeah, everybody's response is different. It's guys want tough love, guys want tough coaching. Some guys you got to pull to the side and you got to talk to them. I'm not a big screamer. I'm not a big hollerer. I believe in getting the point across by just talking, and I'm a firm believer in lineups. Lineups figure themselves out, right? So our guys, on our team, we got guys that respond to the loud talking or the fussing, and we got guys that I pull to the side and I just have a conversation with them. And it's a good mix. And this year's team is a little different just because the guys that we have, they're ultra gritty, and it's weird. It's a weird balance of I want another one. I mean, a kid can hit 3 balls off the fence and he's not satisfied because it didn't feel good off the bat, right? So some guys are different, and that's within any program. But I do make sure that I learn our kids, and I know our kids to, who am I pulling to the side at lunch at school versus who am I pulling to the side at the field, because the emotional – he's talking to him on the side. So I make sure I try to do it in a meticulous way, and our kids respond. So,
do you are you hands on with the pitchers?
Yes, I'm the pitching coach as well, and I say that now. If we don't have a good year, Coach Watson's the pitching coach. Yeah. No, I am the pitching guy, and there's some things that I've learned that I remember one of your questions from Coach Coward was about what a pitching coach actually does. And I would tell you, you teach mechanics and you teach different pitches. The biggest piece in pitching for me is having the confidence to be on an island, right? You gotta, even if you give up a double, your mindset's gotta be, oh, you hit a good pitch.
Yeah.
Right? I can't make a mistake. You gotta hit the best I give you.
Yeah.
So I do handle that for our program, and Coach Huggins works with our JV guys, and he pitched in high school and stuff. So, but it's and every kid's different. I don't make, I got a kid that throws 3/4, and I got a kid that throws straight over the top. So every kid's different, and you got to figure out ways to reach that different kid.
Yeah.
But I do handle our pitching, and I enjoy that piece because it's, when you teach a kid to throw a changeup and they struggle for 3 weeks, and that one day you throw a pin and everything's great, and then they kind of look at you like, was that how it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
That's the rewarding piece is, and you're going to get hit. As a pitcher, you're going to get beat around the yard.
Yeah.
But, again, the coaching philosophy kicks in. Who are you when you get beat around the yard?
Yeah.
Right? You want the ball in your hand or do you not? And you got to be tough. You got to be mentally tough because dugouts are screaming. Softball players are coming to the games to watch boyfriends, and they're screaming, and you got to be mentally tough. And we drive that to our guys. You're on an island. It's yours. It belongs to you. Go attack the 17 inches of the plate.
Yeah, because I feel like, when you look at like a pitching coach to a hitting coach, like usually a hitting coach, you can see like results. If somebody's struggling at a certain thing, you teach them a couple things and you can see the results. Pitching, you can't really teach, increased velocity. Yeah. You can't, teach size or anything, but you never really think about mechanics or, given, it's more than just, what you see as like a fielding or a hitting coach.
And a lot of times you see results out when the lights aren't on, right? You go and you have a outing and you throw 4 innings and you throw 55% strikes, and then the next outing you throw 82% strikes.
Yeah.
Well, what happened from that day, that Friday to the next Friday was what you did during that week,
Yeah.
and what you worked on, and you know, getting the chest over the front side. And I tell my pitchers this all the time because your dad was real involved in athletics, and you probably heard other dads when we were growing up, bend your back, bend your back. I tell kids all the time, man, I never knew what that meant.
Yeah.
You know, what does that even mean?
You don't.
I finally learned,
Yeah.
get your chest over your front knee, right? That's what it means. I didn't learn it until I was in college, but you know, those things are it's the little things in pitching that you tweak to get them to go down the hill and get them over the front side and execute pitches. And a lot of it is trusting yourself, trusting what you work on.
Yeah.
And hitting, you're right. Yeah, I agree. You know, you swing and miss at a pitch and Coach Mo or Coach Watson or myself tell you the adjustment. The next pitch, same location, you might barrel it up and drive it.
Yeah.
Well, because you made that minor tweak mid pitch, mid game. So you do see immediate results with hitting more so than pitching.
And especially like with hitting, you know, I'll say this about like the Atlanta Braves. Like, look at Matt Olson, for example. He was brought in after Freddie Freeman, who was just an all-around great hitter. Matt Olson's not that kind of hitter, and they put him in that 2-hole, and that wasn't working out for them. And it just took moving him 2 positions down. Like, didn't change anything, but you saw the impact of his ability a lot more in that position. And that's another thing with a hitter. You know, somebody may be good at hitting with runners in scoring position or just getting the ball in play. Whereas like with pitching, it's like you're either on or you're not. It's like it's that. You know, sometimes you're just gonna have bad days. Like the thing with baseball is, you know, you get 10 plate appearances and you get 3 hits. Like that's a dang good average.
Yeah.
So you're obviously you're gonna fail more, not necessarily fail in baseball more.
Unsuccessful.
Yeah. Talk about how you handle players like with in the recruiting standpoint. I don't know if you have a lot of players that have been recruited since you've been there, but you know you were recruited as a college. You know, when you're in high school, how's it changed? Like, how do you handle kids with that?
It's baseball's difficult to get recruited in, and I've had some guys sign and go play at the next level. I got some guys at different colleges right now that are playing and on roster and traveling and stuff. And the biggest thing I tell my kids is you got to take football and basketball to the equation, because football, and me on the athletic director side, I get to see this. Coach Osmond can send film from huddle to any college in the country. Our Coach Page, our boys basketball coach, Coach Gamillion, our girls basketball coach, they can send huddle film to anybody in the country.
Yeah.
Where baseball's a little different. Excuse me.
There's a bottle of water if you need it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where baseball's a little different, baseball coaches don't get paid a lot, right? The head coach gets paid, and the assistants kind of splits stipends or salaries, and then you got a bunch of volleys, and so they don't get paid a lot. So how do they make their money? Well, they want you on their campus. They want you to go to camps.
Yeah.
So what we do is I'll go through a list of camps that I think are beneficial for our kids, and I'll type it up as soon as the year ends of what's coming up in the summer and the fall, and I'll give it to our kids, and I put the link on it, how much it costs, and it does cost more so in baseball getting kids to camps because they are pricey, but they want you on their campus. They want to see you live. Film doesn't do a baseball coach justice just because you got a hitch in your swing and what level are you playing at, and you know that, and those things matter to baseball coaches. So, you know, I encourage our kids to go to different camps and diamond prospects and PBRs and those things, and I let them know when they are, and we got an open door about those things. And any kid that gets recruited, they don't have to share it with me, and all of them do. But and then when that process comes to, okay, I'm going to play at the next level, how do I know if it's right for me? Well, you don't know. Yeah. And that's what I tell them. You don't know. When you go to a place and you have conversation, because man, recruiting high school kids is like car salesman, man. Yeah. It's I might not need you, but I want you more so than anybody else wants you. And you know, it's one of those things where it's tough, but I tell those kids, my kids, you know, when you make a commitment somewhere and that's where you're going, you give it everything you got, and you make them keep you off the field. So when our kids get recruited, and it's another thing with baseball. Baseball coaches, they don't necessarily reach out to the head coaches like football and basketball. They kind of talk to the player and the player only, and you got to hope that your kid talks to you about it, and then we weigh pros and cons and what do I think is good for you. If I feel like you're a homebody just by what you showed me in the past 2-3 years, then maybe you don't need to go to Virginia to play ball, So we always have conversations, and I got a few that are getting looked at right now, and they're hardworking kids, so the future's bright for them.
Do you like the setup of the schedule where it's like a weekly series with teams compared to when we were in high school? It was we may play Mullins on Monday and Marion on Friday.
Yes, I think Rock Hill, Lancaster, that area does the series Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the first two are region, or is it the last two?
I don't know, because I remember I went to a Lancaster game to see Will one time, and they were playing South Point. That was a Friday night, and they had played on Wednesday and Monday. So I don't know how it affects region play.
Two of them are region and one's a non-region.
Okay.
I like it from the standpoint of it's higher level baseball in my opinion. It's on Monday. I got to have a game plan Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Whereas the schedule we have now, I'm going to play Pamplico on a Tuesday, and then later on in the year, I'm going to play him on a Friday. And I don't mind this aspect of what we have now. We're going to see a lot of great arms, right? Because it's not a series. But I think the series sets you up for playoff baseball. I think it sets you up to make the adjustments with what we were talking about earlier. If you throw your ace game 1, what happens game 3 and 5, 2 and 3? So I like it, and also like seeing the best, and whatever the best is, I don't mind seeing it because I want our kids to see it. And again, if we're not successful, then what does failure create, right?
Yeah.
You're either going to learn and grow from it, or you're going to just go into a shell, and I want you to learn and grow. I don't have a opinion or a vote on either one. I wouldn't mind trying the other model, the 3-game series. And another thing is it's hard to schedule non-region games just because where we're at, all of us play each other anyway. So it's very difficult to play non-region games, so that just adds – in our region, that would be 4 additional non-region games that you don't have to go find. Yeah. Because, time, distance, man, going to different Horry County, some of those places, it can be a hump. It could be a long way. So I do like the model, and I wouldn't be opposed to trying it. But I am curious. I've talked to Will, Coach Selmer, a little bit about it, and he seems to love it.
Yeah. I feel like it's, I guess you could kind of relate it to collegiate and pro baseball. It's like it's easier to set a game plan when you're facing the same team, like 2 or 3 straight games. Are you excited for this season?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I get excited every season. The kids are excited, as you stated earlier, because man, we've been going in the weight room and on the field when we're allowed to in October, and on the field in January, and it's practice, and the kids are finally going to get a chance to put the uniform on and go out there and just show what they've worked on, and that's exciting. And no matter what the outcome is our kids are going to be resilient. They're going to come back to work Saturday. Whatever happens is going to happen, but Monday, every single one of my guys is going to be there on time, and they're going to be ready and willing to work. And that's exciting that you get to showcase what you've worked on, man. What you spent months doing, and that's exciting for me, and I love baseball. So it's one of those things where anytime we get to play, and that's why I got a huge schedule, because anytime we get to play, I'm going to maximize opportunity.
I did see it compared to others, schedules I've seen, which y'all's graphics is pretty dang good. I was going
Coach
through
Osmond's wife,
throwing your Facebook. I was like, God, y'all got some impressive graphics.
All of our schedule graphics, Coach Osmond's wife actually did them for us, and she works in South Florence. She teaches those classes, graphic design. So she actually took care of those. Now the ones on my personal Facebook, when I put the scores, I do those, and they're not nearly as good compared to hers. But And the graphic this year, I told her, I said, I want to, those guys who graduated from our program the year before, I'd like to, every year that's how I want to do it. Anybody that graduates the year before, I want to put them on there. And I snuck Coach Watson down at the bottom left.
Okay.
He wasn't happy about that, but so she does that for us, and she's great at it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. So these are all the seniors you lost from last year. Okay, I'm sure they did a good job of kind of setting the standard for the younger guys, because it seems like you've got maybe a young team coming into this year.
I would say more so game time and experience. Just because 14 seniors in 2 years.
Yeah,
if you're a freshman and you're going to be on the varsity team with 14 seniors, man, it's tough to get on the field.
Yeah.
Yes, they continued the standard. That's how I like to word it, because the standard was set before I got there. The standard was set when Coach Austin Morrell was in high school, and it's my job to continue the standard.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody, I don't know when it's going to come. I love being at Latta. I want to be at Latta till I retire.
We got a long way to go.
Yeah, I do. But I tell people all the time, my goal is to leave it better than I found it. And that's with anything I do. And that's what I try to instill in our kids. Leave it better than you found it. And they've done a great job, man. These past 2 senior groups I've had, they've done a great job. I am indebted to them, and because they came and they were resilient, and they wanted more, and they wanted to know more, and they wanted to work harder, and they wanted to stay late for practice. And those kids just kids like the ones I'm fortunate enough to get to be around and coach, and our entire staff. Those kids are what make coaching high school sports wonderful.
Yeah.
And they truly are.
Good. And one thing Coach Coward did bring up, I want you to give a shout out if you want to, just your support system at home. Like, I don't think people realize how important, like if you are married and you do work in, I think in any sports, like I don't think people realize, that the hours it takes, being away from home. Like, talk about how how supportive your wife is to you.
She's wonderful.
She's a Lakeview Gator.
Yes, we don't hold it against her. She's wonderful. She and even with the athletic director stuff, I'm at all kind of events all the time, and conferences and meetings, and she does a great job in our home and supporting what I do and supporting our kids. My son is 10. My oldest daughter is 8, and we have Harper, who is 2, and we're expecting another son in May.
Oh, congrats.
I appreciate it. So, it's tough when you got 3 kids, 10 and under. My son has never missed a practice or a game, and she makes sure of that. And our daughter was in gymnastics and dance, and she gets her to Florence, and she still continues to be there when I have games and my team plays.
Yeah.
She's been wonderful. She's been great, and she's the MVP of my team every year.
Yeah.
Just because she gives honest feedback, and I might not want to hear it from her, but she'll let me know when I made a coaching error.
It's like the tough love.
Yeah, tough love, and I got to accept it because I won't cook meals and I still want my laundry washed. So I just say, yes, ma'am, and I keep going.
Well, Coach, I really do appreciate you taking the time. I know it's busy season for y'all. You got, preseason coming up. It's it's the 7th. So Saturday? First official game. May not count towards the record books.
Yeah. It's a Diamond Prospects. They host 3 games, 6 teams at South Florence and Hartsville. And just try to get kids noticed and stuff, so they do a good job of that, and we play in that every year.
Good.
And then we'll scrimmage East Clarendon and Trinity at East Clarendon next week.
Is that Trinity Collegiate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think after that we
got Myrtle Beach.
We start the preseason tournament. We're in the Loris preseason tournament. And we got Myrtle Beach and Ainer, and we'll see what we got.
I still remember that preseason tournament we played at the beach.
Oh,
my senior year.
The Walk-A-Mile tournament?
Well, when we played at the Pelican Stadium.
Yeah. We played York.
Fort Mill.
I remember playing Fort Mill.
That kid played he was committed to College of Charleston at the time.
He was good.
Yeah.
We get no hit.
Yeah, we did.
I wasn't in the batting lineup.
I remember I played. I didn't start many games my entire baseball career, but I remember I was at third base and they hit it into lights, and the lights at Dillon weren't the best.
Yeah.
And you're at like a professional ballpark, and it just went. I was like, I don't even know where this ball's at. Like that just summed up how that game went for us. But we'll definitely be there in support for y'all this year. I love baseball, so I'm excited to get out there because we got some good teams around the area.
Yeah,
we do.
We do. Coach Hal Lambert's now at Marion, and they got great ball players, and obviously Coach Hurlong at Lakeview, they have great ball players, and I'm hoping that we have great ball players. Coach Coward and his staff, man, they work really, really hard, and they do a great job, and they got good ball players as well. Those are just the guys that I play, but we have some really, really good talent in this area, and we got some really, really good coaches in this area, and I love competing against them. It's wonderful. My kids aren't going to be excited about the spring break games with Dillon, but
does any player I know we didn't enjoy it when we were in school.
Oh, it was brutal.
Yeah,
it was brutal, but it's another day to get better.
Yep.
And I just want them to get better, and I hope they want to get better.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it. And it's 8 minutes down the road, right? I'm not making them go to Waccamaw for a spring break tournament.
Yeah.
So it's 8 minutes down the road, and it's going to be good competition. It's going to be a fun day, and it's going to be fun games. So we look forward to the season, and I appreciate you having me on and supporting what we do. And,
of course, yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you out at Buddy Johnson Stadium this spring.
For sure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.